Hello and good afternoon. Welcome everyone. It's so great to see all of you here with us today on this gorgeous November day. I hope that you're enjoying this cool fall weather that's come through this week. I'm Kelly Flair. I'm the very proud president and CEO of the Southampton Chamber of Commerce. And so incredibly thankful, as Connie was saying, what is something that we want to reflect on for being thankful this year. And I'm so incredibly thankful to be here with all of you today. I know for many of us, this is the first time that we've seen each other in several months. And just thank you again and again from the bottom of my heart, not only for your support of our chamber, but for all of the good that all of you have been out doing in our community and supporting our local business owners this past year. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. For those of you that have attended our luncheons in the past, you know, traditionally we would do chamber business first and then introduce our speaker. Our speaker today, as you can imagine, considering his position, has a very full schedule. And it seems like in 2020, all of us are even more full than we ever have been before. So we're going to do it a little backwards today. We're going to introduce our speaker first. There will be a short period for Q&A at the end of his presentation. And then we will engage in our chamber business following the presentation. I do hope that you'll stay with us because we have some exciting things to share with you about what's happening at the Southampton Chamber as we go into the holiday season. And we will have door prizes today. We did not put business cards at the door. We pre-printed your names to just keep the touch points low today as everyone is coming in. But we do have all of your names in a dish to do door prize drawings as well. So without further ado, I want to first say thank you to our sponsors who will come up and introduce themselves as soon as our speaker is done. I want to make sure we recognize Clementi Environmental Consulting, Connie Gage, Realtor with the Toni Everett Company, the Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship, and Troy University, the Tampa Bay Support Center. Thank you all very much for your support of today's event. If we could give a round of applause for our sponsors. And now it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Col Ben Jonsson, the commander of the 6th Air Refueling Wing at MacDill Air Force Base, responsible for the wing's worldwide combat air refueling and airlift missions, and provides installation support to U.S. Central Command, U.S. Special Operations Command, and 31 other joint mission partners. As the commander at MacDill, he is responsible for security and well-being of the base's 19,000 plus employees and their families, along with nearly $3 billion of base property and capital assets. That's a big deal. And with that, I would like to introduce Col Ben Jonsson.
Thanks, Kelly. And thank you, South Tampa Chamber. It is, we at the base, we are part of your community. And so if I do nothing else this afternoon, it would be to say thank you. Thank you from all of our service members and their families who, many of whom live in your communities. They're your neighbors. They go to your schools. They're patrons at your businesses. And so just thank you for welcoming all these military families that, for many of whom, they're not from the area, so this becomes their home temporarily, and the way in which you make it their home is so very evident to me, even in my first 3 months of being the commander at MacDill Air Force Base. Your reputation is incredible. Even when I would tell my peers, hey, I got selected to be the commander there at MacDill, and everyone's, oh, you're so lucky, you're gonna love it there. I heard this from people, of course, who have been stationed here, but even people who hadn't. It's Tampa, and the reputation of this community is above the rest. So let me just say thank you for what you do for our military members. With that, I know that in a group like this, you probably have a lot of you are very familiar with the base. In fact, some of you are probably retired military and maybe have deep connections with the base, but probably others of you are not as familiar. So I thought what I'd do actually to give you a visual representation of some of the things that happen behind those base walls is we'd show a short video. So we'll start with that.
It was an answer to our nation's call for action. Fields, Drew, and Henderson were already etched into the heart Tampa Bay. And why not? This community is the birthplace of commercial airline. So maybe it was fate or divine intervention. Or maybe it was the hard work of the community coupled with the ingenuity of pioneers that have blazed the trail for us. Whatever the reason, this community and this Air Force Base built a bond that has lasted. And for over 75 years, the skies over Tampa Bay have been filled with America's first line of defense. B-47s, F-4s, and F-16s, just to name a few. Now, this Air Force Base is home to the best airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Guardsmen. This base has become a community like no other, hosting over 60 nations. The wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, and the entire Middle East are led from this Air Force Base. When America needs a quiet professional to take care of a complex issue, members of Team MacDill answer the call. And when our community and nation are ravaged by hurricanes and disaster, we step up without question. Every day, this Air Force Base fuels the fight with bold, courageous airmen and aircraft that have been keeping America safe for 60 years. This is your Air Force Base, and we are MacDill.
Awesome. Like the video showed, it's the base and what we do is as much a tribute to this community as it is to the airmen executing the mission. So hats off to you all again. Well, what I thought I'd do in just a brief time here would be to give an overview of where things stand today on the base, where our focus is, talk a little bit about COVID-19 and how the base is postured, and then really open it up to your questions. So look forward to that. As you saw in some of Kelly's remarks or on the video, so the base, we have a working population of almost 20,000 people. Now, those people don't all live in the base, of course. As I mentioned, many of them are in your communities, but it is a sizable population. And two of the big components that make up our base population are the two commands that we mentioned, Special Operations Command and Central Command. So when you think about what America's been doing since September 11, 2001 in the wars in the Middle East, those wars have been principally headquartered and given command direction from MacDill Air Force Base. So your role vis-a-vis the whole Department of Defense and what we're doing as a country to fight terrorism around the world is actually being run out of MacDill Air Force Base. Probably a lot of you know that, but it's significant. You think about the level of effort and what sacrifices that have been made since September 11th to make sure there's never again a terrorist attack on the homeland that's principally been run in terms of command structure out of MacDill Air Force Base. And of course, all those forces that they oversee have been fighting in the Middle East. In fact, I just came from the Middle East. It was 2 years at Audi Air Base in Doha with my family. And I should have mentioned that, by the way. My family is one of these families in Southampton, so I have 5 kids. My wife and I, we have 4 teenagers right now at home, and then 1 5th grader as well. So we busy. And, I have to say, for the most part, I think my experience so far with these 4 teenagers is like, teenagers are kind of fun to put all that work in, and then they're like really interesting. They've got very interesting perspectives and minds. We're hanging on. So that's kind of my personal story. But we just came back from Doha. So we lived in the Middle East for 2 years at one of these bases under the command of Central Command, actually. So it's interesting to come to be the base commander where that command is headquartered. In fact, General McKinsey, the 4-star general, who was my boss's boss's boss, he's now my neighbor. So that's kind of but so that's what's happening. And of course, as the Air Force Base, not only are we hosting these gigantic headquarters that work for the Secretary of Defense, but we have a very specific combat mission that we provide all over the world, and that's these 24 KC-135. So you saw those large gray airplanes that were taxiing down the runway, And then you couldn't really see it, but when you saw that fighter aircraft that was being refueled in the air, the side of the camera that you couldn't see was the KC-135. So what these aircraft do is they go into the air, and then through what's called a boom, it's essentially like a long pipe that we fly into another aircraft. While we're flying, we transfer fuel. And it's a very dangerous maneuver, but it's something that our youngest airmen trained to do. And it's just incredible. And that capability of air refueling is what gives us global power as a country. Because without that, our fighters, our bombers, our reconnaissance aircraft could only go as far as their fuel tanks allowed them, which is pretty limited. So the fact that we're able to refuel them in the air means we don't need to land at another base. We don't need to have another country's permission. We can just go anywhere in the world, and that's American air power. That's what it does right here from MacDill. So that's what currently we're doing. We have a squadron of those KC-135s actually at the base I just came from, at Al-Udeid Air Base, and they're flying right now, flying over Afghanistan, over Syria, over Iraq. In fact, I just watched some of the videos that they sent back where they were refueling fighter aircraft that were then putting bombs on ISIS, the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, that terrorist group, putting bombs on their caves and on their weapons depots. Your KC-135s are enabling that today in the Middle East. But we do this globally, so wherever we need them, that's where we will be. So that's it's a pretty special mission to be a part of it, and we're really proud of it, and we hope that you share in that pride of what we're doing for the country today. Let me talk a little bit actually also about the economic impact. So Kelly mentioned it, and I'll just say, you know, some of the numbers that we use, so she mentioned about the $3 billion in assets, but we actually, depending on how you count our retiree population in the area that uses MacDill Air Force Base for different services, the economic impact from payroll, service contracts, and job creation is between $3 and $4 billion annually. So it's a great number. Now that number that I'm using, it's from the last cycle. We're in the process of updating it, but it is significant. It's a significant economic impact partnership that we have with Florida and really with this chamber and other chambers that represent the businesses in the state and in this area. So that's just a significant way that we partner economically in the region. And what I will say is we have some different opportunities to be involved with that. In fact, so I can pass that, Kelly has the information, but we can re-energize that if anyone needs to figure out how to make an appointment with our contracting office to see if there's opportunities to partner with us, because we're always looking for ways to partner. And we even have, coming up in January, we have another pitch, we call it Pitch Day, where the Department of Defense, we're trying to accelerate our ability to partner with local businesses, particularly small businesses, such that it's not this impenetrable wall of like dealing with the government. We know it's not always the easiest thing. And so we're trying to localize it with small businesses. So more to follow on that in January, and ways to actually present some partnership opportunities for local businesses with the base. And then the third thing I'll talk about just briefly is so COVID-19. And we were talking about this at our table. So we're clearly in a space now where the numbers are starting to come back up. I have to say, and again, I commented on this earlier with you as folks that I was meeting with, that, you know, with kids, my kids are all brick and mortar right now. You know, we looked at the options, virtual, e-learning, you know, and brick and mortar. And my wife was very anxious to send them back to school, so that's what we did. And I would be too. But in any case, my sense is that the way that Hillsborough County public schools, and then also the way, in some cases that too, in different private schools, the way that they've gone about it has been really, really impressive. And even at Tinker, which is a Hillsborough County school where 3 of my kids are, they've had 0 positive cases. I keep saying that, and I think everybody's like, you know, it doesn't seem like it would last very long. But all I'd say, I've just been so impressed with the professionalism and the seriousness with which the county has been able to open up get kids back in schools, and manage the threat and the risk. And so we're really partnering in that way on the base, both with Tinker, but that's really been our approach to all operations on the base, is to try to normalize while at the same time protecting against the threat of the virus. Because for us in the Air Force, ultimately, we have to be able to protect our capabilities to do what the country needs us to do for national defense. And it's not just the day in and day out, it's really like the worst case scenario, right? Like if we had a full mobilization for a large scale war, would we have the forces, the aircraft ready to generate that kind of combat capability for the country at a moment's notice? That's what we always have to be ready to do. So that's why we, in June, actually early COVID, and then all the way really through August, we had restricted access to the base, a lot less touch points. It came down to protecting the capability so that we could protect the country. Now, what I'll say going forward really is we're looking very closely at the numbers. We're going to be adjusting even some of our internal policies on the installation. Just like you all, we wear masks all the time. We maintain social distance. We're practicing good hygiene. We're minimizing the group sizes, even spreading out of tables like we are here. All the things that we've learned to do over the last 7 or 8 months, those are the things we're doing. We're just going to tighten it up a little bit in some different areas going forward over the next couple of months, because this really is going to be a more high. We do see it from our public health officials are saying this is kind of an increased risk period. With the holidays approaching, that's everyone there'll be a lot more people traveling and then coming back and public and people in gatherings. So we're making sure that we stay to the left of any kind of spike. So some changes to the base as a result of that, just to make sure that we are protecting our capabilities appropriately. So that's where we stand. But before I do any questions and answers, I understand that you guys actually won a big award, and we want to recognize that. And I'd like to actually present something to Kelly on behalf of 6th Air Refueling Wing. So the South Tampa Chamber of Commerce, I'm just going to read this award. It's a certificate of appreciation from the 6th Air Refueling Wing. And it reads, this is awarded to express immense gratitude for unfaltering display of connection to our military members with the community through advocacy, educational, and leadership opportunities, and the support you have provided over the years. The Florida Association of Chamber Professionals 2020 Chamber of the Year was well deserved. Thank you for your dedication and exemplary support to Team MacDill.
One more. Thank you.
Well, we're proud of you and proud to partner with you. And I'd love to hear what's on your minds. Yes, sir.
Where did you start your service at?
So I commissioned from the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, from Minnesota originally. So I left there when I was 17 and went to the Air Force Academy in Colorado. Then I went to pilot training in Mississippi, and then my first duty station was Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of folks have come through MacDill, kind of different phases in their career. This is just the first time I've been stationed here. But my parents actually moved down here several years ago. They live in Wesley Chapel, so they were like over the moon when I had decided to have a grandkid, more grandkids here, and get to see them more.
Does that mean you have a chance of being a Buccaneers fan or not?
Well, I'll tell you,
Lightning, Rays.
Yes, we kind of adapt and adopt, as we go. And I have to say, my boys have always been a big Tom Brady fan, so that was kind of like good timing right there. Yes, ma'am.
This is kind of an inside question that a lot of people in the room will get, but have you been to Zip Splingers yet?
I haven't. Maybe.
We'll have to change that for you.
Okay.
We're right outside MacDill.
Okay. Well, actually, maybe I have been, and I just didn't remember. Okay, great. Thanks for the tip. Yes.
What is the process when they select a new colonel? How did you get into the position that you have and step into this premise?
Thanks. So we have essentially a promotion system that will, based on your performance and then your potential to serve in the next higher grade, it happens at certain years of service in your respective rank. So after you've been a lieutenant colonel for a certain number of years, you'll meet a promotion board, and it's Air Force wide across the whole Air Force. And they look at records and they bring in a small group of people, and they'll actually sit for a couple of days and they will score everybody's records, and they make it essentially, and multiple people score them, and then they make a cut line. This many people are going to be promoted, and based on your score, you're either above or below that line. So that's generally speaking for officer promotions. That's how it works from lieutenant to general. General becomes, it's a little different, but I'll say through colonel. For command positions, it's actually a separate process. So to become a wing commander, you have to have first been a commander at a lower level. So I was a squadron commander in Kansas, and as I mentioned, I was an LUB in Doha, and so I was vice wing commander there. And then it's a similar boarding process, but it's distinct from rank. They actually say, okay, here's our colonels, here's who qualifies to compete to be a wing commander, and then they score those records, and then once they decide, okay, here's who our candidate pool is based on looking at those eligible colonels and the scoring of them and who made the cut, then the 4-star general actually for the different commands across the Air Force, they will match them to the bases. So that's in many ways for me, it was largely transparent. You know, I just knew I was competing, and then I was notified that this is where you get to go. They did ask, hey, where would you want to go if you were selected? So MacDill was up there on my list. Sir.
Yeah. First, thank you for joining us today. Can you talk a little bit about the installation strategy around resiliency when it comes to, obviously, you're in Southampton, sea level rise, infrastructure needs you may have around that?
You bet. We actually just went through, of course, the tropical storm Eta here last week, and so that challenged some of the resiliency and I take to me, and when you're speaking about resiliency, sort of from an infrastructure and I guess energy perspective as well. So obviously that's a huge deal to a military base, is to be resilient, have backup power, backup generators, and of course in the region we are. You know, this is kind of a constant conversation, especially in this season we're in, hurricane season, which I hope we're out of, but I think technically speaking, it's like another week, right? So, so for example, for Hurricane Eta, or that became tropical storm again, we actually isolated part of our power grid because the south side of the base is where we have historic flooding, and where the sea surge actually, or the storm surge, impinges on some of our land. And so in order to avoid spikes in the power and interruption of power for those important headquarters that we were talking about, we actually did some isolating to protect it. And then we have different kind of spheres and streams that link to off base as well, and then some traditional, I would say, backup power. But fundamentally for resilience, let's say from a strategy perspective, we have an emergency operations center that partners with the county. And so there's like, as soon as things are starting to look like they're turning in a negative way in our direction, we fire up those linkages, and our emergency operations centers are in contact to coordinate if there's an evacuation order. What are the things we need to do to make sure we're postured and that we're protecting the safety and the welfare of our members on the base, but frankly also our capabilities. So like we'll take airplanes to other places to protect those as well. Yes, ma'am.
Popular question. You were born and raised in Minnesota. Which NFL football?
Well, I grew up as a Vikings fan. Yeah, and I'd say they're still in my heart. They've just broken my heart some years back. But I do still love the Vikings. Yes, sir.
Those refueling planes, how long can they stay up, and what's the distance on those, on the planes themselves?
That's a great question. So it depends, of course, on winds, altitude, if you're carrying other cargo. But you can, like, I would routinely in the Middle East, I would fly routinely a 12-hour mission. And that includes refueling other planes. So, you know, you could potentially be looking at 15, 16 hours in the air if you weren't, you know, actually giving some of your fuel away to other platforms. So it kind of depends again how on your altitude and weather and things like that, but somewhere between, you know, 12 to 16 hours long missions, which are long.
So these things, can they go around like how?
So, you know, given that, you could fly direct, you know, from here, again, depending on prevailing weather at the time, you could fly all the way from here pretty close to the Middle East or parts of the Middle East. We routinely stop when we go there, but we've, like, for example, as you probably recall some missions, you know, maybe 10 years ago or so, where we were refueling B-2 stealth bomber aircraft flying from America and flying bombing missions over Iraq. Because of the sensitivity of those stealth aircraft, they would fly, drop their bombs, and they wouldn't stop before they got there. And then they wouldn't even land there. And so our refueling aircraft would be part of those missions. Some other interesting fact about these airplanes is the ones on the ramp, they were built between 1958 and 1963. I mean, it's just, you know, really stunning. Now, the avionics and some of the technology in the front of the airplanes is, of course, advanced. But really, like the shell, the cables for the aircraft controls, all that is pretty much, you know, original engineering. So they don't make them like they used to.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
As the mother of an F-35 pilot, I'd love to thank the health and personnel for what they do for my son.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that was an F-35 in the video, by the way, getting refueled. That's awesome. I'm sure you're very proud of me. Awesome. Sir.
Other than, you know, what we see with COVID and the general safety aspect as the goal for the military, what do you see in the next 5 years as potentially being the biggest challenge for the military?
Great. So we're talking a lot about that right now. And in fact, this is one of the things that I'm spending a lot of time talking about internally, but I think it's absolutely important for you as our community to be tracking on what we see as the major national security threats in the next 10 years and beyond, really. And so what the Department of Defense outlined in 2018 is this national defense strategy. And the terminology they use is called near peer adversary. And what the thrust of that document, where our focus is as a Department of Defense and as an Air Force, is we've gotten really good at fighting terrorism in a pretty benign environment from an air power perspective. Meaning, when our crews right now are flying over Iraq, and Syria, and Afghanistan, generally speaking, they're not being messed with. But if we got into a strategic competition and fight with the People's Republic of China, for example, it would be a totally different story because their capabilities, while we've invested heavily in fighting this counterterrorism war in the Middle East wars in the last 20 years, they've been heavily invested in their industry and military technologies to advance significantly and catch up to where we had superiority previously. And so now if you listen to our senior leaders, they're not even really saying near peer adversary anywhere, they're saying pure adversary. Because a country like China is actually just as powerful economically and in many cases militarily. So that's where we're focused on is actually how do we maintain the strategic advantage. And so in terms of the things that we're training to, the things we're exercising on the base, this is the language that we're using. In fact, Air Force Chief of Staff, who was just installed in August, General Brown, who, by the way, is a MacDill alum. He's been here, been stationed here twice, I think at least twice. So he, you know, you guys can claim him, but he's our top general in the Air Force right now. And he uses the words accelerate, change, or lose on one of these wars of the future. So we're really thinking about how do we accelerate our change in the way that we train, the way that we prepare to go to war, because, for example, what we're going to have to figure out is if we had a massive cyber attack on MacDill Air Force Base, which probably would impact, by the way, I'm guessing some local infrastructure as well, what would that, how would we actually still launch airplanes if a big cyber attack is happening on base? So that's the type of thing that we're practicing toward and thinking about, where our focus is. Great question.
Any last questions before we wrap up this portion of our program? Well, thank you so very much, Carl, for being here.
Thank you.
This time, we would present you with a gift as well as with one of our coins. But because we are trying to be respectful of our social distancing, we do have a gift for you at your place setting, as well as one of our chamber coins for you to take with you to add to your collection as you enjoy your time here in Tampa with us, and someday remember your time here with us as well. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for that lovely recognition. All right, so I hope that all of you enjoyed the presentation from Colonel Johnson. Of course, many of you have been out with us in past years. We've gone out to do tours out at MacDill Air Force Base. We do hope that we'll be able to do that again in 2021. I want to take one moment real quick to make sure that I also introduce that Paul McAdamy, our chair of our military affairs committee, is here today, as well as Connie, Gage, our chair of the board, and our other board members as well. And so we are going to go into chamber business at this time. Colonel, I know that you have to depart to continue on with your day and fulfilling your mission out at MacDill. But thank you guys so very much for being here with us today.
Thank you all.
All right, so we're going to ask you guys to hang out with us for just a few more minutes. I'm going to quickly through the information that you want to share, and we do have some lovely door prizes that were donated by some members as they came in. As always, we will invite you to take a social media minute. So for those of you that may not have already checked in on Facebook or tweeted or added something to your Instagram story, we hope that you'll do that. Let your fellow friends and business colleagues know that you're here enjoying your day with this Southampton chamber, and what an excellent job that the Center Club did to take care of us today. And now I'd like to introduce each of our sponsors. So we'll have each of you come up and introduce yourself. We'll do one at a time. And Rosanna, if you'd like to come up, Clementi Environmental Consulting.
Well, it's a blessing to be back. Good to see you all. I hope you're enjoying it. Clementi Environmental Consulting, we do pretty much everything from wetland delineations. We help people do for due diligence for purchasing property. Right now, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 environmental site assessments are a big thing. We have a lot of commercial property being changing hands. So if that's something that you desperately need, we would desperately love to work with you. And it's a good time. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a sponsor.
Thank you so much. Chair Connie Gage with the Toni Everett.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Yes, I'm Connie Gage, realtor with the Toni Everett Company. I provide concierge real estate services to all of my clients, and what that means actually is regardless of what side of the transaction I am representing, I will work both sides of the transaction. Reason being, it kind of prevents things from falling through the cracks and getting missed, and making sure my clients can close in a timely manner. That said, the mortgage rates are incredibly low still. So that's overwhelming our lenders. So it's critically important that your agent just follow them to the point of annoyance to make sure you're doing your job. And that said, sellers are king right now. Sellers are just ruling the market. So what we're back to now is bidding wars, highest and best by the end of the day in some parts of the area. It's pretty incredible. So if you want to sell your home, it's a great time to find something to move into. Maybe a little more challenging. But anyway, I'm happy to be here. Nice to see everybody, and I wish you all a very happy Christmas.
Join us from the Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Shane Smith, Florida State University's College of Business, Jim Moran Institute. We've been privileged to be here in the Bay Area for 2 years. And what we do is we serve business owners and nonprofit leaders in executive education, but we focus on those institutions and leaders that already exist for 3 or more years. Mr. Moran was a self-made billionaire and started this back in the 90s statewide. When he unfortunately passed, his wife wanted to continue his legacy in providing the service to the community at no cost. So we were gifted with a very large sum to maintain this for years to come. I'm proud to say that a lot of us here as South Tampa Chamber members have gone through or are currently going through right now. And we are looking to start our next cohort starting in early February, and our applications for this next cohort are open right now. So if you are a business owner or a leader or a nonprofit as well and looking for to advance your program at no cost, just got to offer up your time so that you can grow. I'd love to have you apply. Just let me know. Thanks so much.
Hey, guys, so a quick remember a moment, you designed part of the current cohort here in Flair County, and it's an incredible program. So I highly recommend it for any of our business owners who are looking to take their business to the next level. And last but certainly not least, our friends from Troy University.
Feels like it took a while to get up here. And the room's not that big, right? Exactly. But everyone, thank you for being here today. And good afternoon. This is either the 4th, I tried to look it up before I got here, I didn't have time. The 4th or 5th November that we've hosted or sponsored the November lunch that typically has been for MacDill Air Force Base. Back in 1954, Troy taught its first class at Fort Rucker in Alabama, and it was the first at a distance learning to a service member or an installation that we're aware of, at least in regard to higher education. So we do like to think of ourselves as a pioneer in both distance learning, online education, and serving our military. We are celebrating this November as Military Appreciation Month. All service members receive an application fee waiver, and anyone in the Tampa Bay area gets our special expertise here. And we look forward to helping those individuals, as well as anyone who's looking to get a new credential, finish their degree, or start a degree, the opportunity to do that. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Recognize, and then I promise we'll do like lightning round through the announcements so that we can get to a couple remember moments and our door prizes. I do want to take a moment to recognize though our board members who are in attendance today, as well as our past board chairs and several past chairmen who are here today, and of course our military affairs committee members. If all of you can please stand. Thank you all so much for your past and continued service to the South Tampa Chamber. With that said, I'd like to take a moment to recognize all of those who made the 24th Annual Fall Golf Classic a success, held just 2 weeks ago at the Bay Palms Golf Club at MacDill Air Force Base. And of course, events like the Golf Classic and today would not be possible without sponsors who supported the event. So thank you to those of you who came out to participate. In July, we launched a new program called Chamber Champions. Thank you to these members who have contributed to a special fund that has been used to sponsor the annual membership of members in need who have been impacted by COVID-19. I'm delighted to share with you that as of today, we have been able to sponsor 9 full annual chamber memberships for businesses that have been impacted this year. So thank you so much to those members who contributed. We're not done yet though. This holiday season, we invite you to shop early, shop safe, and shop local. We hope that you'll enjoy the tote bags on your seats today provided by American Express in celebration of Shop Small Saturday coming up next weekend, the Saturday following the Thanksgiving holiday. This holiday season, we invite you to keep the cheer here. Please share your special offers on our special section of the Chamber's website, as well as in our new Facebook group, Keep the Cheer Here, South Tampa. We encourage you to think when you are making those holiday purchases or end of year services, who in the Chamber can you work with and what small and local businesses can we support throughout the remaining part of this year. And lastly, in the spirit of giving, in lieu of our annual holiday party, we are proud to partner with Metropolitan Ministries for a food drive Non-perishable food items may be dropped off to the chamber office or at any chamber event now through December 17th. And if your office would also like to host a food drive or be a designated drop-off location, please let us know and we will add your location to our website. This year, more than ever, Metropolitan Ministries estimates that more than 50,000 local families in the Tampa Bay community will visit their holiday tent this holiday season. So those are our chamber announcements. I want to take a moment though to introduce as well all of our new members. I am excited to share with you that even in the uncertainty of a global pandemic, the South Tampa Chamber has welcomed more than 100 new members in 2020. And we would like to welcome those that are here with us today for the first time. For those that are joining us on Zoom, hello, we are so glad that you are here. Please feel free to include your introductions in the chat. For those that are new members, if this was your first time attending a chamber lunch and you would like to stand up and very briefly introduce yourself, we invite you to do so. Don't be shy. This is not a shy group. Just because we're spread out.
And everybody knows me, but I rejoined. My company last year had joined in my name, and then of course I got furloughed. I'm now in the retail industries, but I decided to rejoin myself because it's I've been involved for 18 years.
I'll never let you get away from this. Any other new members on this side, and then we'll work our way across the room. All right.
Untitled Chapter Technologies, we are a digital software process automation, robotic process automation, and software testing. We're based out of
Welcome. I'm going to use that very high-tech temperature machine. What is it called? Not machine. What would you call that? Temperature reader out in the hallway when you were coming in today. And so for those of you that might find something like that useful for your business, please make sure that you reach out. We would also like to recognize we have a few anniversaries that are here with us today. Congratulations to, that's my page. We have today, there we go, our 1-year anniversaries that we're celebrating today, Beasley Media Group and Bank OCK, and 4-year anniversary of Craig and ABC Event Planning. Congratulations to you. Also see a list of recently renewed members that are up on the screen. We want to say thank you to those who have renewed this year. Congratulations to those celebrating anniversary. Your membership and support of the chamber is now more important than ever as we continue to advocate on your behalf at all levels of government. We know that there are places you can invest your resources, especially during times like these, and we look forward to serving you in the coming year. Please continue to let us know if there's anything additional that we can do to help your business. We'd also like to recognize those members who have become a member or remained a member of our 110% Club. These are members who have voluntarily contributed an extra 10% over your annual investment to help the South Tampa Chamber continue providing relevant programs and resources to serve the needs of our members, as well as supporting the advocacy and promotion of business growth. And I want to share with you today that both our renewals to date and 110% Club to date have exceeded all of our annual goals that we had for this year. And so I just continue to want to say thank you so much to our members, and I hope that we have provided high impact and high value for you over this past year. As always, we want to recognize our Chairman's Circle members as well, including our newest Chairman's Circle members, Dialed In Golf and Century 21. Thank you for your continued support. And last but not least, I think everyone's favorite moment, before we do door prizes, we want to invite you for the reason that we're all here, the reason that we're all chamber members, and that is to support each other and to do business with each other. This is our Remember a Member moment, and if we have any members who would like to share an experience doing business with another fellow chamber member over the past couple of weeks or months, we invite you to do so. I know everyone's used Holiday this year because it was a really hot summer, so we'll just get that out of the way now.
I'll go ahead, no, because one is for Mike. Thought we had a roof leak, realized it was our handler up in the attic, and so ran the air and we're leaking into the house. So his guys came out on the spot and handled it real quick and very professionally, so highly recommend that. The other one's a revisit. I mentioned that I remember months ago that our son, after 10 years of back problems, going the normal physical route, never found a solution for it, all the proper channels. Because Jeff and Michelle Moody were just such wonderful people, I decided why not try a chiropractor. We took him there. He's better than he's been in over 10 years. The reason I'm bringing it up again is we love that experience so much that both my wife and I are now visiting Sunset Chiropractic, and I advise you to as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. Any other remember moments? Where is Glenn? We just had our staff portraits done from Picks and the Glen, so thank you so much for that. You're welcome to see our beautiful smiling faces on the Chamber website. Any other remember moments before we move on? You guys want those door prizes?
I'll take one too. He came out to our office and did headshots for our entire staff, group shots that he magically turned everyone's individual pictures into a group shot, due to COVID. So we appreciate your wonderful customer service, and I know you made multiple trips to our office, and it was greatly appreciated. And the end result was great. You can see it on our website now. So
thank you so much.
I'd like to remember, you like Astrobar, we have our happy hours here quite frequently, and they do offer 10% discount to all STCOC members, so don't forget to ask for it when you're there. And am I right, it goes to whole bill, right? Whole bill. Remember that. You look Astrobar. Don't miss the next happy hour, TBA, Ambassador Happy Hour, and you look Astrobar.
Thank you so much. And again, just keep in mind as we go into the holiday season, you can find special offers from Chamber members at southamptonchamber.org on both our Hot Deals page as well as our Holiday Keep the Cheer Here page and Facebook group. So Erica's going to make her way up with some door prizes that were donated today. We did put all of your names that pre-registered in a bowl versus collecting business cards. And then quickly, I want to share with you, next month's luncheon is going to be very, very special. As we've mentioned throughout today's presentation, just the incredible things that we've seen happen in our community this past year. And next month's luncheon, we will have 10 chamber members that will be recognized as community champions for their work that they've done throughout this past year. And we look forward to announcing those individuals on Friday of this week. Also want to say thank you to Rebecca Null and PB Exchange, who will be sponsoring that event as our presenting sponsor, as well as sponsoring all of our award winners. So thank you so much to Rebecca. Again, thank you to today's sponsors, Clementi Environmental Consulting, Connie Gage and the Toni Everett Company, the Jim Moran Institute for Global Entrepreneurship, and Troy University. Now we will give away some door prizes. All right, so this first one was donated by Roseanne with Clementi Environmental Consulting. Must be present to win. Oh, Michael from Zips. They're not here today. You're watching remote. I'm so sorry, Michael. Next time. Nicole from Lowe's Commercial Painting. Nope, she's also virtual. Sorry, Nicole. Gary LaDuca, Thoughtful Advisors.
Oh boy.
Irene Ferguson. Irene, we'll keep your basket right up here for you. And how good is you're right next to each other. All right, and our next prize was donated by Craig with ABC Event Planning. Craig, do you want to briefly stand up and talk about your golf cart parade?
December the 5th in Apollo Beach, we're having a golf cart parade. Starts at, it's an all-day event, so we're having breakfast at Salty Shamrock from 11 p.m. to 2 p.m. Talking with their photos with Mr. and Mrs. Potts, reindeer pancakes, and then there's going to be an art fair, craft show, kids games, toys, things going on throughout the day. And then 6 o'clock the parade starts. We're walking down Apollo Beach Boulevard. It's free to attend. It's free. You just have to bring a craft toy. Sport charities that benefit place for the Pediatric Cancer Center, Mary Martha House, and the last Sylvia Thomas Center. So December the 5th, all-day event. Let's see.
And how crazy is this that it's someone sitting right next to you again? It's Selena, you won. Thank you all so very much for being here today. It is truly so exciting and special to get to see all of you in person. Thank you to those that joined us via Zoom today as well. We did not forget that you are there. Today's presentation will be posted to our YouTube page. We will also send out a link as the video that was shown today from MacDill with Eric's follow-up email. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we look forward to